All right, welcome to step one in your personal project journey, and that is learning more about the all-important process journal, as well as setting out to kind of explore your personal interests to arrive at a topic and eventually a product or outcome that you want to complete for the personal project. So, without further ado, away we go. The process journal is a very, very important part of the personal project, crucial in fact. It's used to document everything you do throughout your process, everything you're thinking of doing, hoping to do, intending to do, as well as documenting as you go through those steps. If you need to change course at certain times, this is a place for all of those things. This language is taken specifically from the IB here, and you'll notice that it's a place where you're keeping track of as much as you possibly can. This might seem kind of tedious at first, but it becomes incredibly important when you sit down to write your report, as you will need to sort of provide evidence in your report that you did all of the things that you're saying that you did. So this process journal becomes your evidence book, and you can kind of work by the rule of thumb that if it's not in your process journal, it may as well have not happened. You'll also notice as we go through here that there's a wide variety of ways that you can contribute to your process journal. You could be uploading pictures of work that you're doing. You could be adding in hand-drawn sketches. You could be recording a video. Anything that you can do to document it. So in fact, it's called a process journal. Journal might be a bit of a misnomer, and it might be more like a process blog for some of you. So definitely you want to kind of be including everything and anything that kind of helps you along the way and keep track of it all in one place, and that is the process journal. Now, even though I'm stressing the importance of it, it certainly does not mean that it needs to be written on in a daily basis. There might be times where you find that very helpful, but there's no need to kind of update it if you haven't done any work, or maybe a couple periods, certain periods of the year when you might be really busy with assessments. You might have to leave your personal project alone for a couple of days, and there's no point of just kind of adding in a kind of a filler entry or anything like that. So you definitely also do not want to be writing this when you're finished. It's going to be happening at a very busy time of year, aside from the fact that it's all kind of artificial and reverse engineered then. So it's something you want to be working on bit by bit as you go. If you do it that way, the project is very manageable. You have lots of time to do all of these things, but if you leave certain steps to the very end, you're just going to find that you're crunched with lots of different things. So start out strong and just keep adding to it bit by bit, and suddenly the project will be wrapping up without too much stress, hopefully. Yeah, and again, it also is a document that doesn't have to be written or contained in any one format, although there is definitely benefits to kind of keeping it all together in one place. And that note about formats is something that I want to get into next. So what you see here are kind of the two basic kinds of formats you might have. You got your hard copy, or you got your electronic copy. And again, it can be a combination of the two, but it's very important, I think, that you consider the opportunities as well as the challenges that go along with this. Something like a hard copy tends to be very popular for students doing some kind of artistic project. They're used to kind of working in a sketchbook. They might not have apps for that kind of stuff to make it really easy. So they're just going to go out and draw by hand in their sketchbook and have their details in there and be adding their notes and research in a format that they're familiar with working in an artistic kind of project. This is also might be really good for visual planners. Again, there are websites that can help you have brainstorming maps and mind maps and all those kinds of different things, but that might be tedious for people if they're not really sure where to find those or how to best kind of download those afterwards into some kind of contained process journal. So they might want to just do all that by hand, and that makes perfect sense to me. The difficulty, I guess, is that sometimes could get lost or it could get damaged. It might be difficult to kind of keep everything together that way. And you do have to, like I said before, you do need to provide evidence in your report. So it means you may have to photocopy some elements of your hard copy journal to be able to include certain elements of it as extracts for your report. Online, I think enough of us know about the benefits of online stuff. It's saved in the cloud. It's not going anywhere. You can drop in videos, you can drop in pictures, you can drop in audio recordings, and they can all kind of just live in a Google Doc or something, or an Evernote portfolio or something like that. So that's good. But again, if you're looking to sketch and stuff like that, that might be a challenge unless you kind of have access to the most recent stuff. So ultimately, you get to decide which format you're going to use to document the work that you do for the personal project. Next up, we're going to start right into the actual criteria for the personal project. And this is where we start looking at having a clear goal. So this is the IB language from the rubric. For top marks, you want to have a clear and highly challenging goal and context, and of course we mean global context, for the project, and it needs to be based on personal interests. So what I want to do is I want to break down each one of those key components that you'll need to kind of evidence in your report and tell you how you can start exploring that now in your process journal. So first off, we'll start with what might be the easiest one, and that is the personal interests. Now, it might seem some people might have a really easy time with this, but it does prove quite difficult for some students to actually. You don't get asked very often, like, what do you like? What do you like to do? It's, well, I don't like to do school, and this is school, so this is sort of like a weird paradox. I don't know what to do, but it really can start with just about anything. So it is a great opportunity to look at developing a new skill or to further develop a skill that you have, or you've always wanted to try something but you don't ever have time in class. This is a chance to kind of make that work in the context of the personal project. Certainly, if for no other reason, if it's interesting to you, you're going to enjoy working on it, and you are going to put some hours in. So why not put hours into something that you'll actually care about, and that you actually want to put those hours in, aside from just trying to get a good mark on the project. So I recommend this could be a chance to put your very first process journal entry in, and that could be a brainstorm. Just simply to write down all the different things you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in music, maybe you're interested in the arts, maybe you have a very clear idea, or maybe you're having a bit of a difficult time, in which case you can consider some of these questions a little bit. What do you want to learn more about through this project? Or is there something specific that you'd like to accomplish, whether that's building something or performing something or creating something? Or maybe you want to focus more on a service kind of activity and you want to think about how do you want to be able to help others? Or maybe you want to look a little bit more towards yourself and think, how do you want to improve yourself? Really anything can be possible for the personal project, pretty much. So it's a great opportunity to explore. Once you've kind of got your little brainstorm or mind map kind of plugged in with a bunch of different ideas, now you can start to narrow down a couple of your favorite interests. And there's some different ways you can do this. Again, you might just know, or you might want some support, in which case I've got a couple of questions here that you can consider. Think about, why is it interesting to you? You might find links. You might have a couple of different links on there. Maybe you really like art, but you also have music on there. So maybe these are both interesting to you because you get to create something. So you know that what you're really interested in at the end of the day is creating something. That would be really helpful. You also need to start considering, what knowledge or skills do you have that will help you with this goal. You don't want to be starting from scratch for something, because we don't want this, as much as it's important and it's a big project, I don't want it to consume your life while you're focusing on all of your classes. So you don't want to be starting from zero, but at the same time, as you saw a couple slides ago, it needs to be highly challenging. So you don't want to already have all the skills either. So I wouldn't say that if you've never played music before, this is a good time to learn a violin concerto. But at the same time, it's not okay just to say, if you're already bilingual, to say you want to have a conversation in French. That might not be the best example of a goal either. You might also consider who and what resources can help you accomplish this goal. So if you're setting a highly challenging goal, do you have people either at school or in your personal life that could help you get the information that you need? Certainly in some countries in the world, different resources that you might need to build things or to work and do research might be challenging at certain schools. So it's something you want to consider as well. And you may also want to start thinking about envisioning that success at the end. How will you know if you're successful? What will you be able to know or to be able to do that you can't do now? And this can be, again, all done in your process journal. You can write them out in paragraphs, or if you want to be a bit more visual, a bit more linear, you can also do it in a chart such as this. And maybe you might arrive at some kind of preliminary goal. Once you've mapped all that out, you might realize, you know what I really want to do is I want to improve my personal fitness and run a 10-kilometer fun run. Sounds fun. So as this first video comes to an end, I guess the first steps you should be working on is, again, first decide on a format for your process journal. Again, it can be in multiple formats, but it might be better to go all hard copy or all digital, or at least think of where you're going to keep the majority of, if nothing else, these first few steps. Then you've got 2 entries you can start to write. You can start brainstorming your possible topics based on your personal interests, and then you can start narrowing down those topics, either by asking yourself some questions about what you really care about and why, and what you hope to accomplish, or you can use that graphic organizer from the previous slide. So anyways, I hope that you found this video helpful. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please come and find me.